I'm Tom Watson, CEO of TheraBulb, and this is our Ask the Experts podcast. And I've got with me a friend of mine, Dr. Sam. And Dr. Sam is a clinician, and he is going to tell us a little bit about himself, what he does, and what he brought here today. Go
All
ahead,
right,
Sam.
yeah, my name is Dr. Samuel Arthur Mielcarski, also known as Dr. Sam, the health raiser. And my clinical background is I've been a licensed physical therapist for about 30 years now. But when people ask me what do you actually do for a living, I raise health. That's what I do. So being a health raiser, and that's spelled R-A-I-S-E-R, not R-A-Z-O-R. That's people that a little bit different. They like to cut others down. I like to raise others up. So it's R-A-I-S-E-R, and being a health raiser is about raising your own level of health to a higher level than helping other people to do the same. And by doing that, you're raising the level of love on this planet. And love stands for your level of vital energy. So the more healthy people we have, the better planet we're going to have. So that's essentially what I do for a living.
That's great. And yeah, the health raiser thing always resonates with me. We've had some great conversations throughout the years about health and wellness. We've been talking quite a bit lately, and it's just been a pleasure because you really get what we're trying to do with this, and you have this holistic approach to health. But then also you're an expert, and so I do want to mention to everyone we are going to have links to Dr. Sam and his social media handles, website, etc., so you can get a hold of him. So, getting into things, Dr. Sam, my first real question here is: we've known each other for years, and one thing that always stuck with me is how committed you are to doing hard things physically and mentally. And I remember telling you once that I tried to do something physically hard every day. And then I think it was like earlier this year, we hadn't talked in a while, and you remembered that I had said that. It stuck with you. And I know that we live a similar lifestyle in that. So I want to ask you, why do you think intentionally challenge yourself physically matters so much?
I think for a few reasons. One, the mind-body connection is very real, but so is the opposite, the body-mind connection. And I think that's often ignored. Like people are always trying to fix their body with their mind, but the opposite is true. And so when you challenge yourself physically, it keeps your mind sharp for sure. I think overall we've become a culture that's actually become very lazy, very weak, and very complacent. And I think the over-reliance on certain technologies has made people very disconnected from their bodies. And with that has become this attitude of I want life to be easy. And I think the minute that we start to go there, especially as a culture, that leads to not only premature aging, but also just a decreased quality of life. When you do physical things that are challenging, it assists you. I don't say forces you, but assists you in being present. And I think that's what's missing in the world today because of all the distraction people are under. So when you're doing something physically challenging, you have to be present with that thing, and it teaches you not only presence but focus and drive and completion of a task. Because if it's physically challenging, usually you see it through to the end because you know there's going to be a reward at the end. But that essentially that's some of the reasons I think it's so important.
Yeah, total agreement here. I kind of view it as this. I know so many people that are older. I just turned 54 just a couple days ago. And I know so many people my age that physically can't do a lot. And because you look at it and it's like somewhere in their 20s, they stop doing physically hard things. And then so what happens is it's hard to get back to doing physically hard things. But if you keep doing those physically hard things, you can push that from like doing it to your mid 20s to like probably into your 70s, maybe even later now with the things going on in science and stuff like that. And then also, what I look at is when you do physically hard things every day, there's this level of grit, and it makes doing other hard things you haven't done yet that you come across either in your life that are mental tasks or physical tasks. They're easy to do because you're already up here and used to doing those hard tasks. And I look at you and I go, this is a guy. I mean, you're not 30 something years old, but you're obviously in awesome shape now, and you're still in awesome shape, and you've probably maintained a level of condition like this for a long time, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I have, and that's something I'm committed to every day. And I'm reminded every day by my patients and clients because a lot of them are not in good shape. And when I work with them in rehab, I get reminded every day, okay, this is why you do what you do. This is why you take care of yourself. Because if not, this is going to be the end result. So I look at a lot of my patient clients as mirrors. Like they're mirroring back to me, hey, I'm your teacher right now. I said, yeah, well, I'm listening. I'm paying attention. And so they're teaching me every day, like, yeah, don't go down this path because if you do, you're going to probably end up like this. And like I said, walking around with stiff joints or no energy to do the things you want to do. Ideally, I mean, my job is to enhance somebody's quality of life, being a health raiser and being a physical therapist. So I know for me, I want a high quality of life. And yeah, I get inspired by watching videos of elderly people doing hard tasks. Like when I see guys in their 70s, 80s, even doing calisthenics still, like hard moves like front levers or flags, that motivates me thinking like, okay, I know it's possible because these people are doing it. No, it's not AI. Not everything's AI. I've met people even in real life who are very physically fit at a very ripe age. And I think it's awesome. And I think it's a cultural thing too, because I've traveled a bunch in my life and I've been to countries like Thailand and Costa Rica, and they don't, live an Americana kind of mindset and lifestyle. And a lot of these people are still fit and can still move really well into their sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth decade. And that's why it really does go back down to old school principles, and that whole concept of use it or lose it is very real.
Yeah, and the great thing is that if someone's watching this video or one of these clips somewhere, they're probably interested in upping their game in health and wellness. And I look at TheraBulb as one piece of like a overall health and wellness protocol in terms of infrared and what you're doing. And so if people are watching this, understand if you're not doing hard things physically every day, you can work up to that. The fact that you're exploring health options and using something like this, which can help you recover, it's really going to put you that next step, and you can build that block. So, your background blends physical therapy, movement, performance, recovery, nutrition, and lifestyle practices into one philosophy. Can you go back and tell me what originally sent you down this path?
Yeah, I think the first original path was just being born into it. My parents were actually PE majors in college. I went to Ithaca College and they majored in physical education. And so it was somewhere in the genetics to maybe pursue this path. But I was actually born with health challenges. I had crooked hips, so I had to wear one of those braces that had the bar between the two shoes that looked like they were on backward to correct my crooked hips. So I talked to my mother a lot about this because I was intrigued by it. And I even have a picture of me wearing it just to remind me that I was literally born a health raiser. And the reason I say that is my mom said you're such a determined little kid. Like when you got up, since you couldn't climb out of the crib, you just pick your legs up, slam them down in the crib, and you move the crib around the room wherever you wanted to go. So I go, Sammy's up, because they could hear me banging around in the other room. And so when she told me that story, I was like, oh, I was a little hell raiser. And I was like, well, no, actually, I was a little health raiser. And so that's the initial path. And then later in life, in my mid 20s, I had competed in a bodybuilding competition. I was a novice lightweight, drug-free competition in Mr. Atlanta. And I actually was really sick afterward because I'd pushed myself a little hard, and it's not the healthiest of lifestyles. And I got really run down, and ended up having some severe health challenges, including severe prostate problems, like a mass in my groin area, and then back pain, groin pain, and then I got depressed, and then I just became a recluse and kind of withdrew from society. So I literally hit rock bottom. And then in those moments, I went to a couple specialists. They told me some things that I thought were ridiculous, like, you're too young, don't worry about it. Like, what? I mean, don't worry. But when you wake up one day and have to go to the bathroom really bad and not a drop of urine comes out and you feel like you have to, as they say, pee like a racehorse, that's a little scary. Like nothing came out. That means it's going in the wrong direction back up into my kidneys because nothing actually left my body, even though I felt like I had to go. So to be told, don't worry about it is a little concerning. So after the second so-called specialist kind of said something similar, like, hey, you're awfully young for these problems, I went home that day. I was really distraught and just sat in my bed and I just prayed. And I just said, God, please save me. And literally the voice came. I heard this divine voice saying, what does it matter what this is, Samuel, if it doesn't make a difference how you're going to treat it? I'm like, whoa, say that again. So I heard it again. What difference does it make what it is if it's not going to make a difference how you treat it? So I said, well, what does that mean? It means you need to change your diet, your lifestyle, and your mindset. And if you do that, you will know health at a level you never knew possible. And I was like, great. Well, how am I going to do that? Don't worry about it. Like, I will send the resources. Here's the next piece of this. Like, that's just as important. Once you get to this level, you must always promise to give this back. Because if you don't, the lessons are going to get harder. Do we have an understanding? I'm like, understood. Do we have an agreement? I promise. And that is what set me on this path. I never looked back. So I don't want to find out what happens if I don't keep my promise. So every day I wake up, it's like, okay, how are you going to raise health today in the world? And that's essentially it.
Well, that's a great segue into my next question. So, one of the reasons we connected is you're interested in near infrared light therapy. And it's been a number of years. So I don't remember exactly what the chain of events were, but I understood you're open to talking to someone, using this in your practice. And so I'd like to ask, how did you first discover infrared and what made you initially curious about it from both a personal and professional perspective?
Yeah, years ago, I mean, I was always drawn to the sun. Like even as a kid, there's just something magical about sunrises and sunsets. And as we know, that has natural infrared in it. And in the mornings, it's usually more in near infrared, and in the evenings, it's far infrared. And so I just always had this sense of safety and comfort when I was in sunrises and sunsets. And there's the color red, like red light bulbs as a kid. I would just like stare at them, and I was like, there's something about that I just felt like it was feeding my brain and my spirit. I didn't know what it was. It was just an intuitive sense. So I would say the interest started that early, but it was probably about 15 plus years ago. I was exposed to the infrared mats that were the far infrared mats that had the gemstones in them,
Yeah.
like either tourmaline or amethyst or jade. And I actually still have one of those mats, and I love it. And so that's what kind of got me started. And I remember being in a clinic somewhere, and I laid on it. I said, "Wow, this just I feel incredible." And then I used to notice that even when I laid on rocks as a kid, because the sun would beat down the rocks, and then I would lay on them like as the sun would set, and I just knew there was something magical about it, which was the same kind of concept. But when I got exposed to that in this clinic, I was sold. I was like, all right, this stuff works. So I bought a mat. I started using it years ago, and then the research wasn't as sound as it is now. I mean, there's like thousands of studies in infrared that show that it's beneficial. And then some years later, then the near infrared got more popular. So I started to explore that. And I came across some products. I was like, these are pretty good. And then I just always was on the lookout for affordable, safe, and well-made products. And then eventually I found your bulb, the TheraBulb, which I have one of those, right here, one of yours, and I absolutely love it. And so I started to see amazing results with myself and my patients. So I couldn't deny what I was seeing. I mean, it would just drop pain levels, and people would have more energy. They were in a better mood. They would sleep better. And I noticed my circadian rhythm was shifted as well, and so were my patients, from using it and in my life. And so that's basically how I got started. And then when I started to look at some of the clinical data, it was just undeniable that it works. It's sound science.
Absolutely. So, as a PT, and you have a doctorate as a PT, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a DPT. Yep, a doctor of physical therapy.
That's pretty unusual, folks. I mean, you don't run across that many people that in physical therapy that actually went to that level of education for it. So it says a lot. As a PT who works with movement, recovery, and performance, where does near infrared fit into the bigger picture for you?
Yeah, I mean, in the biggest picture, like I teach a system called the chain of health, and the chain of health is comprised of 8 links, and those links are food, air, water, light, rest, activity, hygiene, and love. So the red light and infrared light fit right into the link of light. So it's one of the key links in the chain, and so that's how I fit it into the overall picture. But in terms of being a clinician, I use it daily for people to reduce pain levels, to enhance recovery from injuries, including wounds, but also just sprains and breaks and bruises and stuff like that, because it definitely enhances mitochondrial function. It enhances protein synthesis, the mending of tissue. Like I said, it helps regulate circadian rhythms. It helps to enhance vagal tone. So all these scientific things that are proven to enhance the healing response, I utilize it all the time with patients for those reasons. And I just see amazing stuff. I mean, even with your product, I'll never forget the first few patients I did it with. I said, hey, just be open to trying this, okay? I think you're going to like it. First patient fell asleep. They were so relaxed. They went out, and I was like, wow, it knocked them out. They came through like, oh, did I fall asleep? I said, yeah, you were out. You were practically drooling on yourself. And they said, I haven't been this relaxed in weeks. Like, well, what happened? I said, well, the red light just, allowed you to fall in this relaxed state because, again, it shifted your nervous system out of fight or flight and into this more parasympathetic drive. I said, how do you feel right now? I said, my pain's like a 2. And they said, I came in at like a 7 or 8. I said, there you go. So they were sold. And then it happened for like several patients in a row. And I'm like, okay, clearly this needs to be something that this whole clinic has to implement. So I took it because I do some contract work for this one clinic. I took them and said, look, guys, here's the results I'm seeing with this. Here's the science behind it. So it is evidence-based across the board. And I think that's an important thing for people to embrace. Evidence-based isn't just the available research that's available. That's only one leg. The other things are the clinician's expertise and the patient's belief systems. That's actually the triad for evidence-based practice, by the way. Because I think people get, well, show me the science. There's plenty of science. That's the one thing. There's tons of science behind red light, but it's also the judgment call of a clinician's expertise as well as the patient's belief system. So if they're a believer like, well, hey, I embrace light and I like to be in natural light, then that is also part of the using evidence-based practice to implement treatment strategies. So that's how I use it, and that's why I use it.
Yeah, so I saw you point to you've got a lamp right there, and you've got a TheraBulb. Is that a 300 watt?
This is a 250.
250, yeah.
Yeah,
So and how do you so you've got that right there. I don't know if you can quickly like turn it on real quick and kind of show me like
yeah,
how you would use it, how close you would be to it. Maybe talk us through a little bit, like maybe it's for an
sure.
injury or something like that.
Yep. Give me 1 second to flip it on to switch it down below, so I'm going to disappear for 1 second. Hang on.
All right. There we go.
All right, I'm back. Yeah, sorry, the switch, the cord got twisted on me. Yeah, so ultimately, if I'm doing spot treatment, I'm going to have it probably 24 inches away, a couple feet away from somebody. So let's say someone had tennis elbow or forearm overuse syndrome. I might have their arm supported, of course. I wouldn't make them just stand out like this because then they're going to have tension in their arm. And I would just, a lot of times I lay people down to shut off the postural reflexes. So again, they're not holding tension in their arm or, and triggering a fight or flight response because it's going to be counterproductive. Lay them down. And the beauty of having a stand, whether it's on wheels or not, is again, a movable arm. You can just position this thing, turn the head up or turn it down or bend the elbow. And it's great because you can totally get dialed in right where you want, a treatment to go as a focused, targeted treatment. Now, full body treatment in the clinic, if I was going to do that, I would take someone in a private room and then just let them strip down some and then show them how to use it. And those aren't as common in the clinic just because people, again, with their barriers, it just depends, on their comfort level. But, even that, they could be in just undergarments and be fine and feel like, humble about it and they're not like I'm not totally naked. But if I were to suggest this at home, I tell people just strip right down, no clothes at all. And a lot of the times I target the light like right toward the middle of the body so that it's hitting here because you get that irradiance that spreads out and covers most of the body. And one of the things I actually did when I first got your bulbs, I got really excited because I started playing with it. I'm like, well, I could just build my own sauna, and with it being mobile. So what I did is I actually took and put these in the clamp lamps and I clipped them on the back of 4 bar stools. So I had it on every side of me and I just stood in the circle of these chairs. I'm like, that's incredible because I put it in a small space like a bathroom. I'm like, I got all the sun I want and plus I have a vent. So I turned the vent fan on. I'm like, now I have airflow, but I have the heat in here trapping. And I was like, that's plenty, especially if you have like 250 bulbs. I mean, that's a lot. And I even played around with the 300 ones. But the other strategy is just to put one on each side of you. Because let's say you're going to do full body treatment, 10 minutes this side, 10 minutes this side. Well, why not just lay on your side and have one facing in each direction? Now you cut your total treatment time to 10 minutes total, but you got 20 minutes of treatment. That's a game changer if you're going to use it consistently. Because people go, who cares? It's 10 minutes. I'm like, you do the math on that. That 10-minute savings times how many days in a year? You're talking several days of time saved over the course of 365 days. I ran the math on a calculator. So I showed patients that strategy and they loved it. They're like, yeah, I'll just get 2. I'm like, if you want to save time, yeah. If you plan on doing 20 minutes, you might as well just put 2 of them on at the same time. And now you don't have to do 10 minutes, but you're getting technically 20-minute treatment, because you would have done 10 minutes one side and 10 minutes the other side of your body. So those are some strategies that work well.
That's great. I recall a conversation a couple years ago. I think you were even laying down and you had a way you had configured them so you were getting that full, front of your body irradiance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like you can lay in your bed and have one facing the whole back of your body and one facing the whole front. And now, like I said, you just cut the time in half. But yeah, absolutely. I do that still. And it feels awesome, and it's just the game changer in terms of keeping your body full of light. I mean, we're light beings. We're humans, human beings of light, literally. And so we know the science is clear that we have these photo cells in our body, whether you want to call them, cryptochrome cells or chromophores. I mean, there's different names for them, but we absorb and emit light. The key organs of the body, the pineal pituitary gland, are light glands. There's literally a nerve tract that goes from your eyes that helps you see, and there's another one that actually goes directly to the pineal gland that is fed with light, which is why you have to have natural daylight actually in your eyes. You don't have to necessarily stare at the sun. If you're going to do that, you do it during sunrise and sunset when it's obviously safe to do so, because no one that I know has ever hurt their eyes doing it because it's safe to do so. Now, in the middle of the day, that's an advanced practice. I don't recommend that to most people because they're not advanced. So unless you built your eye strength up, that would be dangerous. You look up and you're like, oh, it's burning. Well, then it's not safe to look at. It's just common sense. Like, if you can't look at it, don't. But when you can during sunrise and sunset, it literally does create a resetting of your clock genes. There's actually a structure in the brain called the supracosmic nucleus that is like a clock gene regulator, and then all your cells have clock genes. So when light strikes your eyes and then it feeds that actual structure, then it signals to the rest of your cells, guess what? This is what time it is. And it resets your circadian clock. Since some people can't get sunrise or sunset hours due to their lifestyle or due to their job, that's where the technologies come in. So now what I would recommend is, red light to mimic the sun during sunrise, sunset. And if you want to take it a step further, near infrared, maybe more in the morning, and more far infrared in the evening, because that is what nature does naturally. So if we mimic that, what's called biomimicry, you're going to probably get even a better result.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a believer in that. I have the TheraBulb infrared sauna I built, I built a box. We've got an article on the website that talks about do-it-yourself home infrared sauna. It's actually the second version of the article that I wrote, and I have 11 300-watt TheraBulbs in there
Wow.
on clamp lamps. And so you want to talk about getting in between them. So my evening routine, I probably do this, particularly in the winter. I do it probably 4 or 5 days a week. Now I'm down to like two or three, but I'll eat dinner usually kind of early by 5:30, latest finishing at 6, go on like a hike and go on a hike for like 30, 35 minutes, come back, get in the sauna, and I've left it, get the sauna going when when I leave. And when I leave to go on the hike, so it's like 35, 40 minutes later, I'm getting in there and it's hot in there. I've got an air filter and two humidifiers. So I'm sweating. I do that for 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll get out and take a lukewarm shower, get the sweat off me, and then go back in again for another 10 or 15 minutes. But then what's key is this. Now I've gotten all this infrared light. And what I do is, especially in the winter, I time it so now it's dark out and I go inside and I have all my lights on dimmers, everything's turned down. If I'm gonna watch TV, that's at 50% brightness, and I wear some blue light. I wear some blue light blocking glasses. Mainly not for the blue light blocking, but to take the bright lights down because I don't want to interrupt what I just set for my circadian rhythm from that infrared light. And I'll tell you what, the nights that I do that, I sleep so much better, and I have an Aura ring, and you can see my deep sleep and how fast I get into deep sleep go up dramatically.
Yeah, no, I believe it for sure. This is another way to use the red lights. A lot of times I use your LED, even the little one, that's the 25-watt one, I think it is, right? The little LED as yep, that one right there. Yep. I use that a lot, like at night like, I don't leave it on all night, but if I have to be up at night,
Yeah.
that and my salt lamps that are dialed all because they're amber color, dialed all the way down to the lowest setting is the only light I will have on in my house at night. I never put full spectrum. I never put regular bulbs on, because again, you're screwing with circadian rhythm, and that's a godsend at night because it's there. I never feel overstimulated. I can just shut off and go to bed. I try to just go to bed, but if I have to be up for some reason, that's the light I use. So that's another way to use it that is therapeutic because you're not stimulated by it, and it just helps you keep your circadian rhythm good because immediately you can just usually fall asleep.
Yeah, and unlike the bulb you have there, which is 250 watts, so you have to have a lamp, and not a lot of lamps take a 250-watt bulb. So you have
Right.
to, that's not a TheraBulb lamp, but that's another one, a well-made one with an arm. These are only 5-watt bulbs. They're LED. They last forever. There's no glass, and you can use these in pretty much any lamp out there. That's one of
Yeah.
the beauties of the LEDs. You don't have to find a high wattage lamp.
I just traveled with that one actually when I went to the Texas Fruit Fest. I went to this festival in Texas recently, and about a month ago, and I took that one with me, and I that's what I used in my bedroom because they had some junky bulb, and I'm like, there's no way I'm using this light. So I unscrewed it and I screwed that one in. And in the morning, I would turn that one on, and it would bring it'd just bring that red light in and kind of just bring me up slowly. And then at night, as I was winding down, that was the light I had on. It was so easy to travel with because I put a little bubble wrap around it just to protect it back. I put it back in the box, and I just wrapped it in my clothes in my carry-on. I mean, it's kept it safe, and then I was set. I mean, I was a godsend. I'm like, God bless you, TheraBulb.
Well,
This
we've
is a
actually
great
got,
travel bulb.
I don't know why it's not behind me, but we actually have a 25-watt version. So it's 5 times the power. It's a lot more output of this. It's larger, but it will still work in pretty much any lamp. We'll have to get you one of those. And I got to get
Oh
one
yeah,
behind me here on
absolutely.
the wall. But we've just got a few minutes left. I've got some rapid fire questions, and I'm going to
Sure.
hit you with these and give me a quick answer,
Okay.
like 30, 40 seconds max, because there's like 5 of these. And so we're gonna we're gonna walk through kind of how you actually use infrared in your own life, rapid fire style. So the first question, daily or situational?
For me, yeah, I use infrared daily and
Okay, good.
situational. I mean,
Yeah.
I just have a lot of situations daily that happen, so I'd have to say both.
Okay, great. Can you just give me daily? It's kind of like just like a quick answer on how you use it daily, and then a quick answer on how situational.
Yeah, daily. I mean, daily personally, to again set my circadian rhythms in the morning, especially if I can't get sunshine. Situational throughout the day with patients, no doubt. And plus we just had in the clinic. I just got them to finally order another one a stand. I said, guys, we just need another stand because everyone wants to use the light all the time. Just get another stand. I can get another bulb in here for you. But if, like, you can't, we can't just keep. Oh, I need the light. I need light. Everybody wants to use it, so just get another. So they finally ordered another was like, it's about time. So now it'll be even more situations probably, but
So we know how you use it whole body. You talked quite a bit about that already. Tell me how you use it targeted. Do you have any old injuries, any specific you use it for?
yeah, I mean, if I use it for recovery sometimes, like if I just had a tough workout, I'm like, okay, that feels a little off. I might use it for that. As I age, I do have a little thinning up top, so I actually use it to target my hair to try to maintain healthy hair growth and regeneration. So I do use it targeted that way. And again, with patients, targeted all the time: knee pain, neck pain, back pain, ankle pain. Um, so those would be examples of how I use it targeted.
So if you're going to use it like the whole body, what I'm wondering is, do you kind of combine that with like, you're like I listed out a series of events I do at night. Do you combine it with like stretching, breath work, mobility work, after a walk, like before bed? I mean, is there some place it fits into like some things you're doing?
Yeah, so yeah, I will do it sometimes with mobility work as I'm winding down, especially at night. And the other time I use the TheraBulb a lot is I have a vitamin D light. It's a big one. It mounts to the wall and it's long, so I could just use it by spinning. But I use the infrared light with it to mimic the sun. So that way I'm getting all the UVB, which helps produce vitamin D from the light itself. But I also have the red light going to mimic not only the sun cycle and the way the sun emits, but red and infrared actually protect you from UV damage. So the sun literally has sunscreen built right into it if you use the technology correctly, which would be to get some morning hours so that you're exposed to the infrared and red, which would protect you later in the day if you go back out. A lot of people don't do that. So I want to mimic the sun. Then I use the red also with my vitamin D light all the time. Like it just feels more natural. And I've noticed I don't ever get burned using that vitamin D light.
Great. So just two more quick questions. You're also connected with the raw food and wellness community. And I know you're friends with Chris Kendall. And I know you were recently at a fruit festival in Texas, and you're headed to the Woodstock Fruit Festival, where Chris will also be. For people unfamiliar with that world, what actually goes on at these events and why are they meaningful to you?
Yeah, they're so meaningful. It's what I call my high vibe fruity tribe. It's just a level of energy and vitality that you got to be there to really experience it. But basically, they're health festivals. It's just that people are really into the fruit and veg thing, and so we just it was kind of a take on Woodstock, the original one. So called the Woodstock Fruit Festival. It's not all we eat, but yeah, you have some kind of hardcore fruitarians in there. but we eat other stuff that's plant-based. So it is a plant-based event. But you have music, you have meditation, you have breath work, you have yoga, you have qigong, you have time in the water. There's always like the, around water, whether it's a lake, a river, or hikes, somewhere you can literally get in natural water. There's a lot of cool social events like get to know you games that are really fun. So you just icebreakers, to meet other people, which a lot of times at these events are not hard because everyone's so friendly and open. There's a major networking going on, but it's just done in a different way. It doesn't seem stuffy and business like. It's more of, hey, so where are you from? What do you do? And then just I have to say, like a lot of really cool things happen. We've had people get married at the event, even like a couple times. We've had people like literally their life changes usually either there or when they leave. People literally go home, quit their job because they finally just got a clear vision of what they're supposed to be doing. I think what happens at these events a lot of times is due to coherency, people draw out the best of everyone else while you're there. And so people start to tap into talents that they kind of know they have. And some people don't even realize they have them or don't realize how good they are. We've had people do the talent show that just blew my mind. I'm like, do you realize how good of a singer you are? And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, like you could probably have your own label. They just don't realize how good they are until enough people actually acknowledge how good they are. And their life just changes. So it's really just transformational stuff. And then some fun parties, like, we have these durian parties, as they're called. Durian's the king of fruits. It's this spiny, smelly fruit, but people worship it literally. So it's like a durian worship party. It doesn't get too crazy. I mean, it's just fun. It's the fun type of hippies that are there, really. And I just absolutely supercharged when I go. I'm always of service to the people there, but I just find also that I get supercharged myself. Like when I left Texas, I already had a to-do list. I had a to-do list and a to-be list. And since I've been home, it's been nothing but doing and being.
We're gonna get cut off, unfortunately, by Zoom in about 30 seconds.
Okay.
So I just want to finish this up. Thanks, Sam. We're all excited. We're going to promote you and Chris Bean at that event, the Woodstock Fruit Festival. And thank everyone for tuning in to Ask the Experts. And if you want to reach out Dr. Sam, we're going to make him available to you as well. Links to him. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk. Bye.
Thanks, Sam.